that I looked at, that I am doing my presentation on, is called Infant Sensitivity to Distributional Information Can Affect Phonetic Discrimination. And this article is by Jessica May, Janet Worker, and Luann Gherkin from 2001. So their research question was centered around developmental changes in speech perception with infants. And their question was to find what mechanism is used to explain these changes, these developmental changes, and how distributional information affects infants' phonetic discrimination. So the background literature that they touched upon in the article, one was from Worker, Gilbert, Humphrey, and Tees in 1981, which stated that young infants discriminate certain contrast better than adults from the same community. Another piece of literature stated that by the end of their first year, infants' pattern of speech sound discrimination resembles that of their language community, and that was from Cole, Williams, Lacerda, Stevens, and Lindblom in 1992, as well as Worker and Tees in 1984. Another piece of literature stated how in many cases this means that infants stop discriminating previously discriminable contrast, and that was from Best, McRoberts, LaFleur, and Silver, Eisenstadt in 1995, and Polka and Worker in 1994, as well as Worker and Tees in 1984. And this kind of centers around the idea, which was mentioned in the article, how native language impacts an infant's perception of speech sounds during their first year. And the researchers predicted that infants have a sensitivity to stochastic patterns, which is used to track the distribution of speech sounds in a language. And the participants that they used to test this hypothesis, they tested on infants from English-speaking homes, and they tested on 6-month-olds and 8-month-olds. They tested 24 6-month-olds and 24 8-month-olds. And the entire session that they conducted was recorded, and the researchers looked at the infant's gaze with the different conditions. The first stage was the familiarization phase, in which da and ta were pronounced in English in order to see a contrast between a voiced unaspirated alveolar stop and a voiceless unaspirated alveolar stop. They had 8 da and 8 ta stimuli. And in order to make their experiment more similar to that of a natural language acquisition, they also used 4 filler syllables for ma and 4 la filler syllables. And the second stage was testing the phonetic discrimination. So they had 2 types of test trials. They had a non-alternating condition and an alternating condition. So for the first test trial, it was a non-alternating condition where a single stimulus was repeated to the infant. And then for the second test trial, it was an alternating condition in which there was an alternation between the 2 stimuli. And the results indicated that for both the 6-month-olds and the 8-month-olds, the infants that were from the alternating condition gave longer at non-alternating trials than they did on alternating trials. And for the infants from the non-alternating condition, they showed no preference. So this shows that infants from the alternating condition displayed a discrimination towards the stimuli, as well as displaying a novelty preference. So this research concluded that developmental changes in speech perception can be seen with infants of 6 to 8 months of age, in which a sensitivity is seen through the frequency distribution of speech sounds. And this implies that this age range of infants can harness a domain general learning mechanism stochastic learning to facilitate acquisition of a domain-specific system, in which infants are able to use distributional information and input speech to detect phonetic category structure. So this does support the hypothesis, which predicted that infants have a sensitivity to stochastic patterns. And that's